Capricorn, welcome to your monthly horoscope for August 2023. My name is Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and in this video, I will be going over all of the energy you will be moving through for the month of August. So if you align with my energy and you enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and hit the post notification bell so that you can get notified every time I upload a new horoscope or video. So as soon as we come into the month, August 1st, we have that full moon in Aquarius, and this is happening in your second house. So it's lighting up your house of money, finances, material possessions. Now, what I really want you to do is think back to January, because January 21st of 2023, we had the new moon in Aquarius. And the thing with these full moons in Aquarius and Capricorn, which happen in the middle of the year, it's almost like a checking in period where you are checking in with your New Year's resolutions, your goals for the year. Are you still aligned with that direction? Do you need to make any shifts or changes in your direction or with whatever it is you wanted to accomplish this year? So this full moon in Aquarius is very similar. But another thing is to think back and see, was there anything that was showing up for you back then, or even any intentions that you set at the time of that new moon in Aquarius. This is where you can start to finally see the manifestations come to fruition. So whatever you were really trying to get going, whatever you were trying to implement. And that is how usually when we work with the new moons and the full moons is whatever intentions you set at the time of the new moon, you start to see the manifestations of those intentions at the time of the full moon in that same sign 6 months later. Now, another energy I want to go over is the fact that for the entire month, this month, we have Venus retrograde in Leo, and this is happening in your 8th house. So there's a lot of stuff going on with your money houses. You know, we have that full moon in Aquarius, but then we have Venus retrograde the entire month in your 8th house. And the 8th house represents money coming in from outside resources, your partner's finances. This also is the house of psychological transformation, and it also has like a death and rebirth type of energy as well. What the thing is with this Venus retrograde in Leo, this is like a reevaluation period, a rethinking, redoing, redirecting. And so if there is something that you've been trying to kind of get moving as far as loans, financial agreements, financing a car or a mortgage or anything along those lines, there may be a little bit of a setback. And while Venus is retrograde, we really don't want to be signing any financial documents or signing a loan or really looking for financial aid in any way, only because with retrograde planets, there can be something that we're missing or not completely understanding. And then when the planet stations direct, something may come up that you have to deal with. And then this can really just prolong the entire process. And so it's a lot easier to really do those things when the planets are not retrograde, especially Venus, because Venus has to do with money, finances. And so, and it's in your 8th house. And so if this is something you're moving through, try and hold off till after September 3rd when Venus stations direct. Now I would like to bring your attention to August 9th. And on August 9th, we have Venus retrograde squaring Uranus. And you currently have Uranus and Jupiter in your 5th house. And back in June, Venus entered Leo and already squared Jupiter and Uranus in your 5th house. And so when this happens with Venus retrograde, whatever you were kind of moving through back in June, it may come up again, only this time there's like a reflection and kind of even maybe a misunderstanding or not quite seeing something as clear as you did in June, if that makes sense. And again, this can show up in many different forms. And just so you know, I do use my intuition when I'm not, I don't just go through the astrology, but I'm also, relaying intuitive messages. And so if it does sound like I'm all over the place, I'm just trying to get all the messages out because I trust that there's someone that needs to hear them. So again, take what is in alignment with you and leave the rest behind, or take what resonates and leave the rest behind. And so this can have to do with your finances. Again, this can have to do with money coming in from outside resources. If you're trying to get a loan, if you're trying to get, financial aid or finance a car or a mortgage or anything along those lines, this is where you can really run into unexpected roadblocks. So you do want to be mindful of that. And then August 22nd, we have Venus retrograde squaring Jupiter. And so it is Jupiter, so it tends to not have a more challenging outcome. However, it can be something that's just coming up, not necessarily a stop, but maybe just a hold or a shift in the energy or a change in some way that you were not expecting. And so again, just something to be mindful of. Now, this can also have to do with your creativity because you have Taurus in the 5th house with Jupiter and Uranus, and the 5th house is the house of creativity and passion and hobbies. And so if you do have some type of online business or a business in general that you create projects or use your creative passions for anything, this is where maybe you're running into some creative roadblocks, maybe having a little bit of a challenging time tapping into your creative flow. So again, just something to be mindful of. Now, on August 10th, we have Mercury in Virgo forming a trine to Jupiter. This is really beautiful for creativity. So again, the 9th house, so you have Virgo in the 9th house. So throughout the month, you will have Mercury and Mars in your 9th house. Mercury is eventually going to station retrograde in Virgo August 23rd. But up until that point, you do have a lot of beautiful energy here for creativity, passion, play, adventure. You know, the 9th house represents higher education, higher knowledge, higher wisdom, traveling, but also publishing and teaching. And so if this is something that is in your line of work, you have like really beautiful supportive energy to create a course or podcast or anything that, you know, really, or any time a program or teaching material. This is really beautiful supportive energy for that. Now, we also have on August 12th and 13th, the Sun forming a conjunction to Venus, and this is in your 8th house where you have Leo and Venus and the Sun. And so the 8th house represents, you know, the money coming in from outside resources, taxes, inheritance, partners, finances. So whatever you've kind of been moving through with this Venus energy, with Venus squaring Uranus and Jupiter, this is where you can receive some type of guidance or support or even insight to really help move you through the murky energy. Now on August 15th, we have Venus trining Chiron. So Venus forms a trine to Chiron, and you currently have Chiron in your 4th house. Now, the thing with Chiron, and I really love this energy for if you are on some type of healing journey, and I really believe that just with all the coinciding energy that we're having over the next year and a half, there's going to be a lot of people really stepping into their personal power, really becoming conscious of the unconscious parts of themselves, all of those unconscious programs and beliefs that have been, you know, that you've been operating from in your career, with your relationships, or even when it has to do with the relationship you have with yourself, your self-love and self-worth. There's going to be a lot activated this year with all of us around these themes and topics. And so with this Venus Chiron energy, this is where we have just beautiful, supportive energy coming in to really help us along our healing journey. This is where we can really This is even where we can realize we can become conscious of the unconscious parts of ourselves, where we can really realize what those beliefs and programs are. So this is a month you really want to be journaling, paying attention to your intuitive downloads, especially when you're meditating or driving. I know I always get a lot of intuitive downloads while I'm driving, and you can't write them down. So I always use my voice notes or voice memos on my phone. But because there's this Uranian element, these intuitive downloads are going to be coming in really quick. So we want to make sure we're catching them, we're writing them down. I've experienced with this Uranian energy, receiving intuitive downloads where they'll come really quick, and I'll be driving and I will write them down when I get home or something, and I can't remember what they are. It's like they come in and out and you can't get them back. And that's why I always suggest to make sure you're journaling, make sure you're writing everything down, or at least doing voice notes if you're driving, because these intuitive downloads really can help in the future. And these intuitive intuitive downloads tend to really come in handy for future guidance with, whatever it is you're currently moving through, even if they don't make sense at the time. Now, August 17th, we have Mars forming a trine to Uranus. And Mars is in Virgo, so you have Mars in your 9th house, forming a trine to Uranus in your 5th. Now, again, this really has to do with that energy of creativity, passions, play, really wanting to, tap into your passionate energy and tap into your creativity and really create something, especially with Mercury there, whether it's reading, writing, speaking. This is also too, and I've talked about this collectively, where we can see a lot of really interesting stuff on the news and in the media, and it's may have, people wanting to take action. And this can happen just in your personal life as well, where maybe you're receiving some information or, having a conversation with somebody and you're able to act on it, because this is not a challenging energy. It does have the Uranian element to it, which is unexpectedness, but it's a beautiful trine. And other than there's no square to it other than the square of Venus, but with this specific energy, and Venus is the ruler of, sorry, I'm just kind of looking at your chart, and then Venus, so there is like this unexpectedness to it, but I think, to be honest, what I am intuitively feeling right now is that there can be messages or information coming in that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect this, and really wanting to act on it right away. But something may come in to be like, yes, you can, but just like not this second or not this minute. And that would be the only quotation negative, which nothing is really negative, but you know what I mean? It's not happening exactly as soon as you want, because you could be super excited, but it is still going to happen. You may just have to wait till the next day or the next week or however that shows up. Then August 23rd, we have Mercury stationing retrograde in Virgo, and Mercury will be retrograde until September 15th. So this is again in your 9th house. So where the beginning of the month, you had a lot of really good supportive energy for creating, speaking, reading, writing, podcasting, or, teaching, publishing. Now with Mercury retrograde, this is when we really kind of want to slow it down. We can create, but this isn't a time to really launch anything, just due to there can be things missed. This is also not a good time to sign important documents or papers. If you can, wait till after September 15th, because with Mercury retrograde, this is a time where, there can be details missed or miscommunication or technical issues. And Mercury retrograde can also affect your vehicle. I'm not sure if I already mentioned that earlier, but Mercury retrograde can also has an association with cars and vehicles. So this is a time too where you can, have issues with I know I've experienced that personally. But again, this is a time where we want to watch our technology, where, make sure we're not sending somebody the wrong text message or email, because that definitely can happen in Mercury retrograde. And now I want to bring your attention to August 27th, when we have the Sun oppose Saturn. And at this point, the Sun will be in Virgo in your 9th house, and you have Saturn in your 3rd house. This can really be where you're possibly taking a trip somewhere and it gets stopped, blocked, or a hold to something. This is where you can possibly have conflict with a neighbor or run into some type of issue or something that really requires your attention with a neighbor or within your community and neighborhood. And, the 3rd house also represents siblings and cousins. So this can also be, for some of you, where you're wanting to express yourself to a sibling or a cousin or family member, and you're not really able to form that connection that you were hoping. And so those are just a few things, just to be aware of and mindful of. But for the most part, Capricorn, that is the energy that you will be moving through for the month of August. And so thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions at all, feel free to comment below. And if you align with my energy, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And I will connect with you in the next one.